Hey, thanks for asking my opinion on this. Leasing is not for everybody. If you drive over 10, or I'm sorry, over 12, 15,000 miles a year, you may want to reconsider leasing only because most leasing companies have a mileage penalty if you go over the allotted mileage. So if you're 12,000 miles a year for 3 years, that's 36,000 miles. If you end up driving 50,000 miles in 3 years, that's 14,000 miles in overages that you would have in penalties, usually somewhere around 20 to 30 cents a mile. So it can get into the $1,000 range as far as your mileage penalty fees if you go over. However, if you are a low mileage driver, and you'd like to get in and out of a new car every couple of years, leasing can be advantageous. It can definitely be cheaper. And the reason is, on a lease, you only finance the difference between the sale price of the vehicle and what's called the residual, the guaranteed dollar amount at the end of the term that the car is going to be worth. So on a $30,000 vehicle, if the residual is 50% at the end of 3 years, you really only finance the $15,000 in between there for 36 months or 48 months or whatever the term is. On a finance deal on the same vehicle, $30,000, you pay for the entire vehicle, finance it over 60 or 72 months. But if you trade it in 36 months, you really didn't get your value because you financed the whole thing, but you only kept the car for 3 years. So leasing can be a lot cheaper because of that. You're financing a much smaller difference, the difference between the sale price and the residual value at the end of the term. So that's why it can be cheaper. But again, you have to be a low mile driver or an average mile driver to make sure you don't go over on the penalties. So it's a good option for some people, but a lot depends on your driving habits. The lenders are usually a little bit stiffer on lease requirements. You have to have a little bit of a better credit profile most times. But it definitely can be, a good option for some people, but it's definitely not for everybody. I hope this helps.